Hello everyone and welcome to another Bimmer Fixer video, and in this video I'm going to be showing you how to change your bulb in your fog light in your BMW 5 Series E60. Okay, so what you're going to need for your bulb replacement in your E60 fog light is you're obviously going to need bulbs. Now the bulb for this is a HB4, not a H11, which some people seem to think because the shape's similar, but it's a HB4. I'll show you why. On a HB4 you have tabs here, 3 little tabs to help you lock it into position. A H11 doesn't have those, and also the electrical connection inside is different. HB4, the electrical connection is wider apart. H11, they're really narrow, so won't fit. So it has to be a HB4. I've gone for Neolux. You can go for any brand really. You can go for LEDs, or I've gone for halogen. I've got LEDs in there at the moment from the last owner, but they're not brilliant. Get a few error codes, intermittent faults, and when you start the car they flash all the time. That's normal. That's the car just sending a signal to the bulbs to make sure they all work, but the current is so small. With a halogen bulb it doesn't make a difference, but with an LED it's enough to illuminate it and flash it, and it just gets a bit annoying. So we're going to switch those out. You're going to need a Phillips screwdriver, that's to loosen off some fasteners, and you're going to need at least an 8mm socket or a spanner. Niceties, jack, makes life a bit easier for you, and some gloves, and also some eye protection as well, because you're working under the wheel arch. Lots of debris and it will go in your face, and if you're really unlucky like me you'll end up getting it in the ear. To make life easier as well, turn the wheels full lock either way. So if you're working on the right hand side, turn the wheel, lock it round to the right, just gives you a bit more room when you loosen off the fasteners and the trim ready to come out. So what I'll do now is I'll do exactly that, and then I'll show you the bolts to remove. Okay, so to gain access to the back of the fog light and to change the bulb, we first need to remove a piece of trim that is underneath the bumper just here. Now to make it easier to remove that piece of trim, we need to remove 4 8mm bolts. There's one there, one there, one there, and one slightly further in. So to remove those and to give you a bit more room, if you put the steering over to full lock on the side you're working, so we're working on the right hand side, so we have the steering all the way over to the right, which moves the wheel out the way so we can get a spanner or a ratchet in there to take those out. There's also 2 screws that are holding that paneling underneath, which I'll show you now. So this is the trim that we've got to take down. There's one screw there, and there's the other one there. Now they don't unscrew all the way and they don't come all the way out, they just kind of drop down a bit, so just give them a few turns and then they'll drop down, and then with those 4 8mm out the way you can manipulate it and get this bit of trim out, but I'll show you how to do that now. Okay, so first thing what we'll do is we'll remove those 4 8mm bolts to loosen off this piece of trim, and then after that we'll take those 2 screws out, and then we'll get the cover underneath the bumper out of the way. Okay, so once you have removed the 4 8mm, you need to go underneath. Okay, so here's the first Phillips screw that we need to loosen off. Now remember, they don't come all the way out, so we just need to loosen them off. So if you give them a few turns and then give it a bit of a wiggle, see how it dropped down? That's as far as it'll come down. Okay, so we've got the other one there. Again, a few turns, give it a wiggle, and that'll drop down. So now the trim is pretty much ready to come out. So I'll show you what you need to do from the other end to get this bit out. Right, okay, so once your 4 bolts have been removed and you've loosened those fasteners, what you need to do, you need to come back around to the side and you need to pull out this piece of trim over the lip of the bumper. So you kind of just get underneath, just pull it out like that. Okay, so once that's been released like that, this is where we're going to remove the trim. You see it's just there, but you need to go back underneath, back to those Phillips fasteners, and you need to kind of push the cover up the same time pull this one down. So this one up, this one down, and as you do that, like that, it releases the fasteners here. So there we go, got one that's popped out there. And if you do the same the other end, the other one comes out, and then the trim just drops out like that. So there's our trim out of the way, and the bulb is just there. Okay, so now looking up from where we've just taken that trim out, this is the back of the fog light bulb here. So if you just give that a quarter of a turn anti-clockwise, that releases the tabs and the bulb can drop down like that. So what we need to do now is we press down on that tab there. So you push down on that end there, that then releases the bulb, and you can pop your new one in. Okay, so once you have your new bulb securely in place, so just give it a firm push in. The connection, they are quite tough, so make sure you get a click when you put the bulb in, and then it's just the reverse of taking it out, so pop it back through. Also try not to touch the glass if you can help it, because the oil from your fingers, if you haven't got gloves on, can affect the bulb when it gets hot. So you push it in again at an angle and then slide it down clockwise, and that's that locked in, nice and secure. So now what we'll do is we'll put the trim back on, and then, well, actually we'll probably test it first to make sure it's working, and then we can put all the trim back on. Okay, so we've tested the bulbs, they're all working, so what we need to do is replace the trim now. So it's just a reverse of how it came off, so put these back in first, and then put your 8mm back. There's just something I need to show you from the other side, just to be wary of when putting everything back together. Okay, so once you've got your Phillips screws fastened back in, the one towards the front shouldn't be too much trouble. The other one can be a bit fiddly. Just need to put your finger up behind the bolt, or the screw, sorry, and you'll feel where it needs to go. So once they're in, then we can go and do the 8mm bolts. Okay, so the thing that I said to just look out for is just to check the vent here, to make sure that hasn't come out of place. When you're underneath that bit of trim, you can knock it out sometimes, and that can fall back in or not be lined up properly. So as you can see there, that's looking out through the hole in the front of the bumper, so that's all okay. But yeah, this can pop down. Actually, mine actually has. There we go, glad I checked that. That's it. Okay, yeah, so just make sure it's back in place like that, and then all we need to do is put the 4 8mm bolts back. Okay, just a little trick or a little bit of advice when you go to put your bolts back in. Just when you put them in, just do them all up, but do them finger tight. Okay, so don't worry about tightening them up too much too soon, because what you can risk doing is you can be forcing the trim over to one point further than the other, and if you tighten it up too soon, too much, you will actually not allow the trim to move around to adjust for the other screws. So what we'll do, put those all in, and then once you've got the final one in, so ours is this one. So once you've got the final one in, you got the finger tight and you know it's going to go in like that. Then we can go around and tighten them all up properly. And there we go. So that's both bulbs replaced. Maybe not as glamorous as the LEDs, but a little bit more reliable, I would have thought. And to be fair, in the UK, especially where I am in the country, our weather isn't as bad. Not like one of the subscribers, Matthew. Hello Matthew, shout out to you buddy. Where their weather isn't as nice and they are pretty much constantly on their fog lights. So yeah, but I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. If you've got any questions or any comments, please leave them below. And if you haven't already, please subscribe. Thanks guys, bye bye.